Доброго дня, з вами Canada UA, мене звати Олена, і сьогодні ми знову в гостях у сенатора Стенлі Кутчера. Ми сьогодні маємо дуже важливу бесіду і дуже радимо прослухати це інтерв'ю і з великою подякою сенатору за все, що він робить. І давайте розпитаємо і поговоримо, чим він може допомогти нам, українцям, у вирішенні нашого найболючішого наразі питання. Дякую. Hello, Senator. Thank you so much. Привіт. Дуже раді вас знову бачити. Дякую вам за запрошення. First of all, I want to thank you for everything, for all your efforts you give to our community, for Ukrainians, for every Ukrainian being here in Canada. Thank you so much. We truly appreciate absolutely everything you do. We know about your bill, yeah, the senators.
We work with each other.
Absolutely.
To help each other.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I want to tell you about one situation happening right now with Ukrainians and with our documents. And ask if it's possible from your side to give us some advice or maybe some help. You know that all Ukrainians being here in Canada came through the CUAET program. This program allows us to stay here in Canada for some period, temporary period, and we are able to work, live here, but not permanent, of course. So all families which came here, they established here, they started to work, building their lives here. The children are visiting school, making their friends. They are happy, really happy. And almost all of these people, they trying to apply for the permanent residency in Canada. But so they use different programs. They use provincial, federal programs. They use humanitarian program, the family reunification program. And the only issue of all of these programs, the one common line for everything of this, the processing time. And this processing time, it's very, very, very long. And the issue is that this long time of waiting causes problem with legal status of every Ukrainian special man, because our men, they cannot renew their documents. And so a lot of people applying for the permanent residency more than 1 year ago, and they still wait for any update. There is no any updates for their application. So what I want to ask, Senator, if there are any steps you think government can take to help us, just to help to speed up this application process.
Well, you raise a really, really important concern.
Yes.
And that concern I have personally raised with the Minister of Immigration and talked about how important it is that people who have come since the war have an opportunity to apply for and be granted permanent residency in Canada. And that there will be many people who will want to do that.
Yes.
There may be some people who choose not to do that.
Absolutely.
So it's not like every person who has come automatically becomes a permanent resident. It is an opportunity for people who wish to do that. Now, you're right. Many people have jobs, are paying taxes, are making a really important contribution to Canada, not only in their work, but in their community involvement, helping everything from coaching hockey to, choirs, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They got a lot of certificates, everything, just they are trying to live their
and living very well. And I know some of the people here in Ottawa that are doing that, but I also know people in my home province of Nova Scotia, the other province that I know well is Prince Edward Island. I've met many people who have come from that, who some of them have had children born in Canada.
Yes.
You know,
Hello.
yes, and whether their children were born in Canada or they came with them, their children are in school. Many are in school. Many are involved in community events, and have created a life for themselves here. So I have been advocating the best way that I can do so that people who are here from Ukraine would have an opportunity to get permanent residency as quickly as possible. Now, that being said, it takes a long time for permanent residency to occur, much longer than I personally, for anybody, think is reasonable. We have backlogs of applications for all sorts of things in that department, and I would like to see that department work much more efficiently to help us.
I don't know. We understand that Canada is it's immigration country. A lot of different nationalities also are using these programs and everything. We understand all of this thing, but you are a very well-known psychologist, right? You work so a lot with mental health, and you understand how important for us it is. You understand how many troubles, awful situations a lot of Ukrainians face it in Ukraine, and how hard it was to build and rebuild their lives from scratch. So we hope, we ask you to put all your efforts to help us a little bit, just to emphasize in Senate how important for us, for our mental health, for children's mental health, to establish at last.
Well, I think that we need to be fair to people. People who are here from Ukraine and who want to stay, who are making already outstanding contributions to this country, should be, in my opinion, and I have made my opinion known well, they should be provided with an opportunity to move into permanent residency as quickly as possible. Yes. They've demonstrated their commitment to this country, and they enrich our country. My own family came as refugees after the war, and you know, if you look at my family's history, they came with nothing, and their children and their children's children and their children's children are contributing tremendously to this country, building this country. They're teachers and lawyers and doctors and hockey players and mayors of towns, of cities. I mean, it's so they have become. One of them even became a senator. so you know, and that's what I see in the communities that are here. The people work very, very hard. They're incredibly talented. They have so much to give our country. So I'm doing everything that I can to try to push and push and push for that. And so are many of my colleagues. Many of my colleagues are also doing that and saying, "Come on, Government of Canada, let's make this easier for them."
Very grateful for this. And I have one more question. Maybe you also, as a senator, can just advise about this question. You know, the program CUAET is almost finished. It's just 1 month, and it will not be anymore any of these helpful advisors, and nobody will help Ukrainians. But you know, and everyone knows that war is still going on, and a lot of people still need this help, need support, need the settlement organization, need the language courses, need all of these activities we got when we came here. So what do you think? Is this a chance for us to apply to the government or something, just to make it longer, this CUAET program, to exist at least sometime?
Well, again, I think it's so important for everybody who is listening to this to do what you can do, and that is to write to the minister, write directly to the minister.
So we can do it.
Yeah, absolutely you can. This is a democratic, free and open country.
Give us the step by step, just a little bit advice how to do it, because I probably not a lot of Ukrainians know how to, and have somebody to ask even.
Sure, you can.
To whom?
You just all you need to do is write a letter to the Minister of Immigration. That's Minister Mark Miller.
Should it be the email?
No, don't email. Write a letter. Write a letter, and explain what the situation is that you have, and explain to him why it's important for you. Talk about the contribution that you're making. I've spoken with the minister about this. He's aware of this, but anybody who is an elected politician listens very carefully when many people say the same thing. And you don't have to be worried about the government taking reprisal against you for that. You know, I know that's in my own Baba Jido. They didn't want to do anything to make the authorities upset against them, because they came from a Ukraine who had been under Soviet domination, under German domination, and they were afraid that if they stood up for themselves, that the government would attack them. Well, that's not going to happen here. No.
I believe so.
It's not going to happen here. So yeah, write a letter, and you don't have to put a stamp on it. You just write it to Minister Miller, Minister of Immigration, House of Commons, Canada. Put it in the mail.
Thank you so much.
Just do that.
Thank you. It's absolutely good advice, and I believe that a lot of our people that watch us will do it.
I think that's
it's very interesting, everything happening around in the world right now, and we know that they choose a new president in USA, and the question is, I'm just wondering if this new president or their new government might change your help and support Ukraine, Canadian support of Ukraine?
Well, that's a really important question, and one that's very difficult to answer, because the new president of the United States is unpredictable. And we do not know what he will or will not do. But I see this as an opportunity for Canada. Some of the things that the president has already done, like cutting off U.S. aid. Now, that's a large organization in the United States which gives money to other countries and projects. And they have been giving money to civil society organizations in Ukraine, and now that's a problem. That money has stopped. So one thing that Canada and other like-minded countries needs to look at now is to increase their funding for some of the work that USAID was doing, because there are organizations that have been doing excellent work, and we need to put into place, in collaboration with our other allies, how can we find those organizations, and can we better support those organizations? So I think we have a good ambassador from Canada to Ukraine. So working with her in her office, I think that's important. I think the other thing for Canada is that we have had many different activities going on in Ukraine, run by different departments. And I think it's time that Canada brought together a strategy for Ukraine and had a single point in government that could take defense, that could take foreign affairs, that could take agriculture, that could take health, and a single point that could come together with a coordinated Canadian approach to Ukraine. I think that would be a big improvement on what we have. The third thing, and I and a number of my colleagues have been advocating for this for months, and I have to commend Minister Blair for doing something really important, and that is giving Canadian money through the Danish model that goes directly to Ukraine and to the armaments industry in Ukraine, so that Ukraine can create its own weapons without having to get second-hand weapons from the West. So, because the reality here is that Ukraine has to be able to defend itself. Now, Ukraine has done tremendous work. They're one of the world leader in drone warfare already for necessity. Their production of howitzers, their production of some missiles is top notch. And Denmark created this model about a year ago. Norway and Sweden and the EU have participated in, and I've had discussions with the minister and discussions with my Senate colleagues and trying to promote Canada's participation. And I say that finally we did, but I'd like to see a lot more of that to funding, military funding for Ukraine going through the Danish model. It's called the Danish model because Denmark started it. But the money goes through the Danish government, right to the Ukrainian government, and right to the armaments industry. So, and the other part of that is Canada has some really, really good military equipment manufacturers who are now being able to bring their products to Ukraine. And so I would like to see our government strengthening these ties between Canadian manufacturers, Ukrainian manufacturers, so that we can work together, business to business, government to government, and facilitate opening up those pathways, because we now have the capacity to do some of that. Ukraine clearly is developing the capacity to do that, but we need to try to help Ukraine become as self-sufficient as it can, because Ukraine has sadly learned that Western guarantees for their security aren't enough. They have to actually develop their own capacity.
Absolutely. And as I know, they are trying to do it as much as they can. The last thing that I want to ask you, maybe you would like to give some message for our Ukrainians that will watch you, that also very grateful for you and know you because of our last interview and a lot of these famous things you do for us. You participate in so many Ukrainian events and everything happening. So maybe you can advise something for them. Just give him the face.
Well, I think
everything will be
wonderful. Be proud of who you are.
We are.
Be proud of what you bring to this country. Celebrate being Ukrainian. Celebrate being able to be here in Canada. And let that pride guide what you do. And whatever you are doing, do it to the best of your abilities. Because I have to tell you that the people that I have had the privilege to meet, people who have come from Ukraine, who are living here now, I have not met one person who wasn't outstanding in their ability to contribute to a healthier, wealthier, more inclusive Canada. And that's what we need in this country. So be proud of who you are and continue all the incredible good work that you are doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Senator. And thank you for being with us always and forever.
Well, we're in this together. You can't build a country on the values of acceptance, respect, and compassion if you don't practice it.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
So much.